Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. What's the crack? It's already open. Alright. So we are. I don't know what day we're on. I swapped movies because I wanted to watch something while I was at work. Uh, so we're talking about Night of the Twisters today. Yes, this is a 1996, 97, I don't know, television film made for the Family Channel, which you now know as Freeform. Yes. And while the Wikipedia article is outright stated, this movie's Canadian as hell. I mean, you look at the cast of this. Devon Sawa, Canadian. Amos Crawley, Canadian. Laura Bertram, Canadian. The guy who plays Bob, goddamn Canadian. I mean, so very, very Canadian. We have Laurie Holly? Canadian. She was Sarah, the original Sarah, in the original My Bloody Valentine movie from 1981. Yes, she plays the mom. We have John Schneider. Well, he's not Canadian. He was on Smallville and that filmed in Canada, so no. He's really the only American I can think of that's in this movie because they needed I don't know. He's not even a male lead. He does stuff, but this is one I watched a lot growing up. They used to air it on TV, Fox Family, ABC Family Channel until they stopped. And then I remember renting this VHS from the library once. And watching it. Because this is, living in the Midwest, like myself, you know about tornadoes. So, yeah, movies like that. I would say something. I like this better than Twister, either of the Twisters, because this feels real. What is Twisters? A bunch of people chasing after tornadoes. That's not. No, this is a family trying to survive a tornado, a bunch of them, and get back together again. That's realistic. There's your realism right there. It's grounded. It's very down to earth type thing. They don't always get they're saying right. So I'm no meteorologist. So anything that I say is gonna come from another video. I don't remember the channel. I gotta mention the channel because I watched their video on it. And their meteorologist, what the channel is. Can't read that. Hold on. Mateo Tech Meteo Tech WX. Meteo Tech WX I got from them. So anything I say about clouds is gonna I won't be going too much into that because I don't know much about that, but I know more than Arthur does. So we actually start with our buddy Bob, who's a meteorologist who is tracking what he says is an anvil cloud. According to the meteorologist from the video, it's not. I think it's a cumulus, big fluffy white cloud. But he's tracking it, and he tracks all the way to this farm where he has to warn these people. His big idea. So he's like, he's on the radio talking to someone. He notices this tornado is coming for this house. Here's the thing. Living in the Midwest, you know when a tornado is coming. Not just because it's right freaking there and they should be able to see it. No. You could feel it in the air. There's a smell to it. The wind feels different. It's not. It's oddly calm sometimes too. I've noticed, at least when I've done it. I don't go out anymore, but but it's there's a weird calm, the calm before the storm, that sort of thing. But this girl gets dropped off from school. She brings this happy birthday mommy thing to her mom. And all of a sudden, the tornado, you could see it coming in the distance. And then he comes down. He's going to help these people, but he stops before he gets to the farm. And his big idea is to get out of his car and go, hey, hey. And they notice him. And he's like, Twister. And the guy is basically that guy from Jaws. What? Basically, what? Twister! And he's like, oh, come on. Because they're worrying about where their chickens disappeared to. Their chickens are now lunch for someone that flew up. I don't know. They're gone. But, yeah, so they get in the storm cellar and Bob just drives off. Because, yeah, and this farmhouse gets destroyed. It's an equal to the opening of Twister, you know, with it destroying, or, you know, didn't destroy, it didn't destroy Joe's house. It was just hovered over. Ugh. Yeah, and then we meet our main character, Daniel Thatch. And we're introduced to his stepfather, Jack Hatch. So, they make us think, like, okay, so obviously it's his stepdad. But you can't hate. So, growing up, I was confused as to why Arthur, his best friend, played by Amos Crowley. We'll talk about him in a minute. How he didn't know, like, him and his sister later, that he's talking to the guy's sister's love interest. It's Arthur's sister, Dan's love interest. Okay. And he's like, oh, he's my stepdad. It was like this big reveal, but we already knew that. I mean, it's like, oh, they came from California, where they don't have tornadoes. Well, they got earthquakes, which is not much better, and wildfires, unfortunately. This is going to come out way after, but again, like I said in my other review, just, thoughts with them. I don't pray. I'm one of those, I believe in God, but I don't feel the need to pray all the time. I know he's there, I know he's watching, but, I don't know. But, my thoughts are with them. Hopefully they get out of it okay. I don't know. What was it, the line from Wizard of Oz? Poor thing, I hope to go home all right. And, so we introduced to Jack first, and he's sort of arguing with this guy about his little shop that he wants to keep going. By the way, any of these little personal problems they have are taken care of by this tornado. He's worried about his shop that gets destroyed by the tornado. Like, there's a whole thing. By the way, Dan gets a brand new shiny bike. Gone. It's weird because we get this bike race, which Dan would have won if some jerk ass kid didn't push him and cause his bike to break, and so now the wheels are messed up. And so I understand what Jack is trying to say, but I don't think they wrote it right. His whole thing with Jack is you gotta take responsibility. You gotta learn to take responsibility for yourself. But he's telling him you have to get on your bike, which is broken, it doesn't work, and you have to finish the race. The race is over. Like, he even says the race is over, I'm done. He's like, no, you get on that bike. I don't care if you have to drag it across the finish line. You finish the race. And I'm just like, because the whole thing is, you have to finish, what you started. Sure. But this is not one of those teaching moments, okay? Pardon. Yeah, my nose. It's not one of those teaching moments. It's a situation where the race is officially over. I mean, it's officially over. It does not matter whether or not he finishes the race. And I know that's not the point. The point is to teach him to finish what he started. I get it. But I don't know. I never understood him. Like, they're trying to make him stern. Like, the cliche is that the kid doesn't get along with the stepdad. And I've been there. My first stepdad was a piece of shit. Didn't understand my disability, so he tried to make me something I wasn't. He was trying to teach me algebra. I don't know how the hell to do that shit. There's way worse things that this guy did, but he was mean to me first. I like it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. No, him not understanding my disability wasn't it. The way he went around it was what makes a piece of shit. But other things that happened made him a piece of shit. I won't go into it, but he was a piece of shit. And thank God we got a better stepdad now that knows is better at everything, monumentally. Anyway, so I know what it's like to deal with a stepfather. I just wish my stepfather, my first one, was more like Jack here. And in ways, my current one is. He and I butted heads. I butted heads with the other one, but my current one, my current stepdad, we butted heads, and we've come to understanding. We're more closer now, and he helped me when it came to my son and everything, and so yeah, but yeah, it's just a little pig-headed here. Jack was like, you gotta finish this race. The race is over, and I get it. That's not what it is. It's like finish what you started. So both him and Arthur walk to finish the race. So okay, Devon Sawa plays Daniel. Devon Sawa, Chucky TV series that kills in every season, sometimes twice. Idle Hands, Little Giants, Casper, which by the way, this would have come out after Little Giants and Casper, I think. Casper 95, I think. I think Little Giants was 96 or 94. This is after. What else? He's gonna be in that new movie Heart Eyes, right? He's Stan in the Eminem music video. Hey Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. Yeah, he's everywhere. He was in that horrible movie, The Fanatic, where the first line of the movie is, "Can't talk long, gotta poo." Travolta, you could do better. What are you talking about? He did Battlefield Earth. Yeah. That also means he could do worse. So anyway, his best friend Arthur is played by Amos Crawley, who you will know from Goosebumps. He was Chuck. I don't know this Chuck. Is he part of the Italia family? From both of the Haunted Mask episodes, he's also the voice of Larry in My Harriest Adventure, and he was on Are You Afraid of the Dark? He was Ethan, aka Kix, in the episode The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. Yes, so I knew him from that, yeah. So, yeah. His sister is played by Laura Bertram. She was also in Are You Afraid of the Dark? And she even made a cameo as the mother in the first season of the reboot. So, yeah, that was nice to see her there, She's the older sister. Is she older? I can't tell because they're so similar in age. I don't know if Arthur is older or she is. But, Daniel's told to go walk the dog for his grandma because his grandma, his dad's mom, needs to walk the dog, needs to get walked, and she's old, so yeah. So he goes and he messes around with Arthur and then realizes, oh, I have to go. They go back to Arthur's place, which I realize if you pay attention. So when the storm hits, they go down to the basement. I believe it's the same location as when they're doing the pool. They just took the pool tables out. It looks similar. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But so he shows up late, and Jack is there, and he's disappointed at him. But he's like, your grandma called me when you didn't show up, and I'm just like, but he showed up, and then he's all mad because he's there. He's late, but he's there. But the dog's hurt anyway. Okay. In my eyes, he's fine, but no, he kind of scolds him a little bit. And instead of Saying, hey, put your bike in the back and I'll give you a ride home. No, you ride home, I'll meet you there. He's going to make him ride his bike all the way there. And Arthur's supposed to meet him there. So, we then come to the most unnecessary part of this movie. The baby. Yeah. So, they get there. And at first, I'm like, they get there and the baby's just chilling in the crib. And I'm like, or chilling in a little thing. And I'm like, wait. Who was watching the mom's there? If you don't realize it at first. But the mom is there. And so he's like, okay, it's time to put you down for a nap. Okay. These writers have no idea how to put a baby down for bed. Because they have him, just the baby, wide ass awake. Okay, time to go to bed. Lays him in the crib. Okay, go to bed. And he leaves. And I was like, no, that's not how you do it. You gotta get your ass a bottle. You gotta sit in a rocking chair. You gotta put the bottle in their mouth. And you gotta rock them to sleep. You may not even need the bottle, but it helps. It does help. Until they fall asleep, and make sure they sleep, then you put them in the bed. You can't just take a baby, put them in the bed and say go to sleep. They will not go to sleep unless you make them go to sleep. That's what babies do. Why is the baby unnecessary? Because the baby doesn't really have... If you took the baby out of this movie, you had no effect on the plot, other than there'd be a few scenes that he wouldn't be going back up his stairs. Two more times for no reason. So he puts him down, and he goes down and talks to his mom, and he's like, oh, the baby's sleeping. I'm like, no, the fuck he ain't. You just put him in the bed, he ain't asleep. Every time he goes to check on this baby, it's wide awake. This baby does not get any sleep in this movie. Then the mom has to go to the diner where she works, because small town. So her sister, I always thought it was a friend, but apparently it's her sister. I don't know. Picks her up, take her to work, and they break a chair, which ultimately doesn't matter because the tornado's gonna come, so you know. But they do this gag twice. It's not really a gag, but they do this twice because later they break a lamp. They hide the chair, and Jack never says anything. He gets there, he berates them for leaving the bike out in the storm. But then all they do is take their bikes and put them on the porch. But Jack was complaining about a hailstone hitting it. Putting it on the porch is not going to stop the hail from hitting it. Or a storm in that, for that fact. I know they don't have a garage, but put it in the house, in the front entryway or something. I don't know. Also, Lawrence. Why do I keep on calling him Lawrence? Arthur has this thing that he keeps doing. And it's also that when the tornado actually gets there, they don't realize it until it's too late. So, Jack, they get there, and he's watching the weather. They're doing some kind of band thing, and he comes up, and this is the only time I'm on his side. He's like, hey, you're doing good, but your brother's trying to sleep. Yeah, you literally said he was trying. Well, he's trying to sleep. He's probably still awake because you didn't put him to sleep in the first place. Babies will not go to sleep. You lay them in there. No, are you kidding me? And then they wake up in the middle of the night, and then they wake up. Maybe not in the middle of the night, but they wake up, and then you wake up, and you're laying there, and you're like, someone is staring at me. Someone's looking at me, and you get up, you turn around, and there the baby is, standing up in the crib going, staring right at you. Not saying anything, not crying, just... That's what my son used to do when he was little. He wouldn't cry when he woke up. At first, but then oftentimes it would be me laying there, and because you always feel when someone is staring at you. So then I'd sit up, and he'd be all... I don't know why he had his lips like that, but that's what he did. Google eyes at me, you know? That baby's not asleep. I'm telling you right now. And, by the way, how many hours have passed now that he would... Babies don't take that long of naps. We're not done with this baby stuff. So Jack tries, when the storm starts to hit, Jack decides to go out in the middle of a thunderstorm to go check on his mom because she's not answering the phone. She's sleeping by a window. That's smart. She's in a chair sleeping by the window. And she's in the... This woman's kooky anyway. So he said he's going to go do it. And as he goes to leave, the mom calls. She's getting left out early from work. Not because of the storm. No, because, first of all, they were called into the diner because they needed all waitresses in hand. And now they're saying there's too many waitresses, so they're letting a couple people go. And she's one of them. And she can't get a hold of Sarah to get there. So she's wanting Jack to do it. But Jack took off. And then Dan goes out. He can't get his attention because it's too stormy and rainy. So eventually, I call her Sarah, the mom. What's her? Jenny. Jenny. I should know, that's my ex's name. Jenny does eventually show up. But anyway, I'll just go over this part with they eventually show up, but she can't get her car to start because as was foretold earlier, sometimes her car won't start. And you have to wait a little bit. Well, and then she's like, "Oh, when it's storming, when it's raining, it doesn't start at all." I'm like, so they have to go inside the restaurant, or the restaurant, as Larry the Cable Guy would say, and hide. Meanwhile, back at the Hatch house, so things start to. Okay, so first thing, Jack tells him before he leaves, before everything happens, to unplug all the appliances, which you're supposed to do, because if the power goes out, when it goes back on, it'll cause like an electrical surge or something. But then when the storm starts coming down, Daniel then has himself and Arthur open all the windows. And that is one thing I've never understood. Why the hell do you open the windows when it's raining outside? It's storming. The rain comes. Rain all over the place. Water everywhere. Well, that's where we go back to our friends at the meteorological channel that I watched. They're talking about this movie. Apparently, I didn't know this. It's an old thing. Apparently, they used to say that if you open the windows during a thunderstorm, during when a tornado is going to happen, because if you leave it closed, then a tornado, it's going to cause the pressure is going to make the windows explode. So you open them. But that's completely false, because the windows are going to break anywhere a tornado comes through. So what the hell is the point of doing that? I've never got that. So the tornado sirens go off. So Daniel runs up to get his brother, right? To get Ryan, the little brother. And as soon as he picks him up, the tornadoes stop. And he's like, hey, it stopped. Oh, okay, it must be okay. Just because they stopped doesn't mean it's going to be okay. And he's like, okay, you're going to go back to sleep. And even the baby's confused because you hear the baby go, eh? Like, what? You are going to go back to sleep. Eh? Are you going to leave me here? Really? We're not done with this. So they go back downstairs, and that's when they break the lamp, because he's twirling that thing. So Daniel, apparently, all you need is just all they needed was just a light bulb. So while they're doing that, they hear the noise again. He said, "Will you stop at that thing? I'm not doing it." And that's what he goes, oh. So he goes upstairs to get his brother again. And when he gets there, the sirens, which weren't going off until he got in the room, stop again. He's like, oh, make up your mind. And he puts the baby back in the crib. This tornado was right there. Things were shaking. So he starts to head back downstairs, and stuff's still going on, even though the siren stops. And they both like fall on top of each other. And at this point, Arthur, all messed up from all this, because he's from California, he doesn't understand Indian tornado stuff. It's like, I gotta go find my sister. No, it's here. It's here. Then go get your goddamn brother. He does go back up, but now the whole thing is knocked over, right? And the baby is not crying. It makes no noise until it's time for him to find the baby. And it's like, Oh, now you make noise. And it's like, the crib knocked over, it would be crying. Why is the baby in this movie other than to, I don't know. So they all go down to the basement. I already mentioned that looks just like the one from earlier. It probably was. And they hide down there, and the whole house gets destroyed because, yeah. By the way, it goes from one side of the house getting hit by a tornado and the walls coming apart, and then everything on the other side of the house is just fine. Then they get down to the basement. Everything is destroyed, and then they climb out of this hole with the baby, and eventually they meet up with Arthur's sisters. And their parents are out of town. They mentioned that earlier. Because we didn't have the budget to... Well, the script wouldn't work with their parents being in the movie, apparently. Yeah. So I should mention that Bob does make sporadic appearances during the beginning of this, too. He shows up at the diner to get some coffee, and... Yeah, and he's tracking this storm, so... So at this point, they come across someone who they think might be Jack, because he's wearing the same jacket, but it's really just someone he went to school with, because they all have the same jacket. And they're all going to wear the same jackets, even when they're in their 40s, because that's how it works. I think John Schneider was in his... This would be 96. He would be in his late 30s, I think. I think he was in his early 40s during Smallville, so... So they take this guy's car. None of them know how to drive, by the way. And they get to they decide they gotta go check on the grandma to make sure she's okay. Because that's where Jack went. They get there and there's a roadblock, of course. Because it's dangerous down there. But he lets the younger sister, the baby, and Arthur out of the car. And then they barrel it down the road. Just passing Jack as he's yelling out for help because they can't see him. They get to the grandma's house. And the grandma's all knocked out. She's loopy. Loopier than a loopy loop. Because at one point she starts talking about where they're in a car trying to drive back. They're like, she's like, I knew I wasn't going to die because when I was a little girl, there was in a twister and I saw an angel. And they said, Belle, it's not your time. And I always knew if I was going to die, my Zephyr would come for me. And I'm just like, was she drinking before the tornado came? Or I want some of what she's having. What? Eventually, when they're driving back, they do see Jack. And they try to help him out, but he's stuck. So they drive back to the roadblock and tell them about it. And Dan refuses to stay behind. He goes with them. And so you're supposed to think, he's going to be very happy about this. And he's just like, thanks, son. Like, no, I'm proud of you, anything. That's not going to come till the end of the movie. So why even worry about it now? So they go to the shelter, and that's when he kind of reconnects with them. And he's like, well, what about my wife? Is she here? No. So he decides he's going to go out on his own. This is about where he reveals that it's his stepdad. But he decides he's going to go after Jack. While also bringing the baby. You don't think that they can look after the baby? Why are you bringing this child into a storm? It's not over. You know it's not over. You live in the Midwest. You know that just because it's calm doesn't mean it's going to be over. But no, he sneaks in the back of this vehicle that Jack's going to take with the baby. And wouldn't you know, it's the baby cooing that reveals that they're there. Right? So they go to the restaurant, and they're not there. Or no, not yet. They go, their house is there. Where are they going? And then they go to another shelter, and they're not there. So they go to the restaurant. They talk the guy to go to the restaurant, and of course that's destroyed. The car, Jenny's car is thrown off. Meanwhile, they get to. Meanwhile, Jenny and the mom make it to another shelter where Bob is there, and he says, "Oh, I'll take you to your house. I got a car if it hasn't been taken out by the tornado." She's like, "Do I know you? Oh yeah, about an hour ago you were serving me coffee." Yeah, you. Yeah. So they go to the house is completely destroyed, and she's all freaking out. And this is when they go back and, oh yeah, they were here. And they know exactly where they went. Because they told people, I guess. And they reunite at the house. Right? And everything is happy, families together. The mom doesn't say, "What the hell is wrong? You're bringing the baby out in the storm." And then tornado hits. It's coming back, so they're gonna try to outrun it. Don't do that. As their neighbors die in a tornado, they go to an underpass, which I guess, according to the meteorologist, people doesn't actually work. Won't actually protect you. It'll actually suck you up more than anything, I guess. But movie, they survive. And yeah, then we get a epilogue of sorts. First of all, it starts with Jack narrating, saying that the town started rebuilding. And then it looks like the movie ends, and then it fades back in to Danny now narrating, and saying that things have gotten better after the storm, things are rebuilding. Oh, by the way, Jack does say he's proud of him. He's connected with Jack more, and he also, this is bullshit. Because he's like, oh, Jack tried to learn more of my interests, like, because he's into music. And it's a picture of John Schneider with the guitar going. And he's like, well, he's still learning. I'm like, no. You ain't heard John Schneider sing. He's damn good. You couldn't have him do anything else. I don't know. Bob and Jenny got married, and they're expecting twins. Arthur is class president. How? Guy had to cheat on his tornado report, although he was from California. So, yeah, he said, oh, I don't hang out with him as much because he's dating his sister. And that just brings me memories of Secret Girlfriend. I'm gonna bang your sister. 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 It just brings me memories of that. Yeah. And Grandma's Zephyr came for her because she died a year later. Okay. But this woman lived to be the actress. I looked it up. She lived to be 100 years old. Like Jimmy Carter. She died in 2018. She was born in 1918. Strong woman. She lived to be 100 years old. So the actress didn't die 1 year later. The character did. Yeah. And their family is now better for it. Orion's also getting older. This kid they show, this gotta be more than a year. This kid looks like he's 3 years old. 3 or 4 years old. Maybe 5. I don't know. But yeah, there it is. Night of the Twisters. Good movie. Just frustrating sometimes. As a father, okay? As a father myself, there's no, as soon as the storm starts, I'm taking the baby. And I'm taking the crib, whatever. I'm bringing everything down to the basement. Set the crib up down there. I'm saying, hey, Arthur, help me get the baby, the crib, whatever, situated. We'll bring it downstairs to the basement. We'll figure something out. Because keep putting that baby back up there, that's, no, it irks me. Again, you didn't need the baby. Get baby out of this movie, it does nothing to it. And it just had to, like, somebody's writing this. And they're like, oh, he's going to go after the dad. Well, he's got to be the baby. Why would you do that? Just leave it with the sisters. They can take care of him. Right? I know the baby doesn't know them, but you trust them. which is important. I'm going to say it's pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Night of the Twisters? Leave a comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.